Welcome here. I'm Bodvar, the Godi of Northwoods Kindred and co-founder of Asatru Global. Today, dealing with Christian lenses in the lore. One of the most important truths that we have to accept about our tradition is this. Most, if not all, of what we call the lore was written down by people who were no longer heathen. The Poetic Edda, the Prose Edda, many of the sagas, and most historical descriptions of our faith come from a time when Christianity was already dominant. They were preserved by Christian scribes, educated in Christian worldview, and shaped by Christian expectations of what religion should look like. That doesn't make the lore worthless, it doesn't make it dishonest, and it does not remove its sacred value. But it means we have to read it with wisdom instead of blind acceptance. Because when a story is recorded by someone outside the living tradition, some things will always be filtered. Moral tone may shift. Cultural values may be reinterpreted. Characters may be reshaped to fit foreign expectations. Religious structure may be presented through Christian frameworks rather than heathen ones. So part of walking the Asatru global path, part of restoring a living, grounded, responsible faith is learning how to read the lore well. And that begins with humility. The Havamal, specifically stanza 6, reminds us not to boast about how clever we believe ourselves to be, but instead to remain thoughtful, cautious, observant, and grounded in practical intelligence. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind, but rather keep watch over his wits. Cautious and silent let him enter a dwelling, to the heedful comes seldom harm. For no one can find a more faithful friend than the wealth of mother wit. In modern terms, that stanza is teaching us don't rush in assuming mastery. Don't mistake enthusiasm for expertise. Pay attention, think before you speak, and value steady judgment over ego. That's exactly the mindset we need when dealing with texts written through Christian eyes. Because there will be places where the worldview feels foreign to what we understand of heathen life. Places where morality sounds like imported Christian virtue rather than organic heathen ethics. Places where gods are written like biblical figures instead of active cultural powers. Places where shame, guilt, sin, or divine punishment creep in where reciprocal relationship, honor, and consequence originally belong. When we encounter moments like that, our job is not to panic. Our job is not to declare the lore false. Our job is not to cling defensively to a single rigid interpretation. Our job is discernment. And discernment asks, does this align with the arch-heathen worldview? Is this consistent across multiple sources? Does it match lived historical culture? And does it reflect heathen values or foreign theology layered on top? And that takes practice. That takes time. That takes willingness to study, compare, reflect, and think beyond surface reading. And it takes emotional maturity, because ego wants certainty. Ego wants to declare, this is the truth and I am the expert. But the Havamal speaks to that too. In stanza 27, it reminds us that sometimes the wisest action is restraint, that not every situation demands confident speech, and wisdom often begins with the ability to pause, listen, and learn before claiming authority. For the unwise man, it is best to be mute when he comes amid the crowd, for no one is aware of his lack of wit if he waste not too many words. For he who lacks wit shall never learn, though his words flow never so fast. In modern language, slow down. You don't have to win the lore. You have to understand it. That's a very different posture. Asatru Global's goal is not to recreate a medieval church of Asatru. We're not trying to build rigid dogma or unquestionable doctrine. We're building a living, thoughtful, ethically grounded modern heathen faith that honors the ancestors without blindly copying everything attributed to them through a Christian hands. We honor the poetry and myth. We cherish the cultural memory. We respect the work of the scribes who preserved so much of what we would otherwise have been lost. But we refuse to treat those texts as unquestionable holy scripture. We treat them as sacred conversations between ancient worldview and modern understanding, conversation between cultural history and lived practice, conversation between the human spirit of our ancestors and the responsibility that we hold today. Learning to read the Lord through a heathen lens instead of a Christian one helps us reclaim courage grounded in wisdom, community grounded in obligation, leadership grounded in responsibility, faith grounded in lived experience rather than borrowed theologies. And it helps ensure that the Asatru that we build today is not simply Christianity wearing runes, but a real continuation of an ancestral worldview embodied in modern life with maturity, respect, and integrity. So as you study, as you read, and as you build your understanding, remember the lessons. Wisdom isn't loud, wisdom is steady. Wisdom takes its time. Wisdom weighs context. Wisdom remains curious instead of defensive. Wisdom listens and then acts deliberately, consequence aware. That is how we approach the lore. That is how we honor it. And that is how Asatru Global ensures that our spiritual foundations remain strong, sincere, thoughtful, and deeply rooted in the truth rather than assumption. We walk forward together, conscious, grounded, aware, patient, and growing not just in knowledge, but in wisdom. Because together we rise.